Since the narrative has been presented to us about the shooting of Charlie Kirk, there have been a lot of questions online about certain aspects of the narrative that were being told. Specifically, how did the weapon get to the murder scene, or to the point where the shooter is alleged to have taken his shot? 2. How did a 22-year-old man with no formal military or law enforcement training perform a 200-yard kill shot with a .30-06 rifle? And 3. How did the weapon get from the spot where the shot was alleged to have been taken to where it was supposedly discovered by law enforcement in the woods in a neighborhood nearby? A lot of people have questioned the video that they've seen, and I'm going to walk through each of these. I shot a video of this yesterday in my studio, but I think I can better accurately answer it just following along here on my computer, and I'm going to use some of that footage that I shot yesterday to kind of supplant. I happen to have a Mauser rifle, very similar, and probably, I believe, similar enough to prove these things that I will use in these demonstrations. So, let's start off with the beginning, the infiltration route, or how this individual got to where he was alleged to have taken the shot from with a 40-plus inch long rifle supposedly stuffed in his pants. First, we've all seen this video of the alleged shooter walking into the neighborhood on his way in. This is clearly a home security camera looking out from a garage. You see the shooter walking along, and he is engaged with a limp here. A lot of people have questioned this video to say that, well, this is an after the shot video. He's limping because he hurt himself when he fell off the roof. And that's not true, and I'm going to show you why. First, take a good look. We're going to go to Google Maps. But we've all seen this footage, or excuse me, this overhead shot of the supposed kill shot. You have Charlie sitting down here at the bottom of this amphitheater, and then you have a shooter approximately 200 yards away on this rooftop here. He's got a direct line of sight directly to the target. He's elevated from the target a little bit, probably 20 or 30 feet above him, but for all intents and purposes, clear line of sight, clear shot. How did this individual get here with that rifle undiscovered? That's what everybody wants to know. Well, I did some internet sleuthing, and if you go up here onto South 800 West, and you drop down right here into Street View, you will see this home, and you will see this camera. This camera is one and the same from the one that you can clearly see a law enforcement official removing. And this is the camera that I propose is the actual camera that took the video of the gentleman walking across the street. Now, if you turn the Google Street View image, you'll see that it matches up quite a bit. You have this home here, matches this home here matches this home, and so forth. You will notice that in this image, the driveway is not paved. This image, according to Google, was captured in May of 2019. It has since been paved over, but this is the same shot, even down to the basketball court in the background and everything else. Now, the shooter is walking from the left of our screen to the right of our screen with an obvious limp. And we're told that this limp is due to the rifle being stuffed on his person or down his pants in some way. And we'll get to that in a minute. But I want to show you, this is his direction of travel, left to right. And if you look back down the street, you can see the parking structure at Utah Valley University. Whatever you want to say about this young man, he wasn't stupid intellectually. He was a 4.0 student. He scored like a 35 on an ACT. He would have to be the dumbest criminal on the face of the planet to shoot a man in broad daylight, run away one direction, and come walking back limp in the other. I propose that he infiltrated down this route, crossed the street somewhere, entered this parking structure here that is adjacent to the building that we see the shot supposedly being taken from. I think he crossed this causeway, hopped this fence, and had access to the roof undetected. Now, you may be wondering how I know that he was able to cross this causeway. Well, we'll drop in on another street view here. As you can see, this is the point where, in the video before, he falls off the roof and runs across this knoll right here. If you look back at this causeway, there's a significant level of handrail and lighting on this. You don't put handrail or fencing on the top of a structure with that degree of lighting and the height of that fencing if you're not expecting regular foot traffic through there. There's laws and codes about this sort of thing. So I believe he somehow came through this structure, gained access to this causeway, or this walkway, hopped this fence at this point, and made his way to his sniper perch somewhere in here. The next criticism that people have now is how that rifle got to the point of the shot. Because the videos that we've seen, you clearly don't see the rifle, you don't see it printing anywhere. And the narrative that we're told is that he had the rifle stashed underneath his clothing or in his pants. If you take a rifle like this, which is approximately 48 inches long, well, I'm not stuffing that in my pants. There's just no way. It's down past my knee, and the butt is still above my nose. In the videos that we've seen shown, we see the individual limping on his right leg. And if you look at his posture in the video, his spine is straight, and his knee on his right leg can bend, but he doesn't have a lot of motion at his hip. And I've heard people say online wrongly that he somehow had a folding rifle when clearly the rifle that we've seen has a fixed stock like this. And I've also seen people say that you can't break a Mauser rifle down into a smaller section that quick or that easy, and that's, again, simply wrong. And I'm going to show you. I'm not going to show you how to do it because YouTube likes to have a fit about that, one. And two, I don't want to give a copycat instructions on how to do this. So I'm going to disassemble this rifle, and I'm going to show you the components that it can fall into, and then I'm going to show you how quickly it can be reassembled in situ when you're sitting in a sniper's nest waiting to take your shot. When disassembled, this rifle has a much lower profile. You're now looking at a barrel and a stock that are essentially the same length. And another thing with the Mauser is the scope attaches right on the receiver. So the young man did not have to remove the scope or alter or affect the zero of his rifle in this transportation configuration. It's essentially four pieces: the barrel and the receiver, the stock, the trigger guard and the magazine follower, and the bolt itself, and some attaching fasteners. So he could have easily taken this rifle and now shoved it down his back with, well, let me show you. With this much of the barrel sticking out in the back of his pant leg with no problem. He could have done the same with the stock next to it. And then that backpack over the top of it stopped all of the printing that is associated with having a weapon concealed like that. And this young man, by order of his appearance, didn't throw anything off either, because to anybody outwardly looking at him, he just looked like a clean-cut Mormon boy. Now, this is how I propose he smuggled that rifle in. And once he got into his sniper perch, it didn't take him very long to get it back together. And I'll demonstrate how quick that can be done. And let's pause and take a moment. I haven't really practiced this. I'm sure he may have probably spent a lot of time practicing in preparation for this.
I just pulled this rifle out of the case after 20 years and brought it for the purposes of this demonstration. So let's see how quick I can get it back together, okay? Get your stopwatch ready. How fast was that? For somebody who had infiltrated into their sniper perch and was comfortable and no one was observing them, this would have been easy to do, plenty of time. Not a big deal.
It's not perfect. I didn't have time to strap it on and go walk around the neighborhood and give you an indication of how it would have potentially looked, but I think this is a fair bit of proof to at least show the possibility that the narrative that we're being told about how the rifle got to its place of use without being detected is a very good probability. Next, we need to address the issue of how was this young man able to take a 200-yard shot dead on. Now, I know instinctively this is 100% within the realm of possibility for almost anybody with a halfway decent bolt-action hunting rifle and a modicum of skill. But I'll walk you through a little bit about the 30-06 Mauser and a little bit about how easy this shot would have been for somebody with any kind of experience with a firearm. And to be really honest with you, I could probably teach anyone how to make this shot in an afternoon with a properly zeroed 100-yard rifle.
Now, a lot of people say that to be able to shoot accurately, to make that shot as tight and hit where he hit, he would have had to have years and years and years and years and years of marksmanship training, and there's no way he could have done it with just some rickety old gun, and that's completely untrue. At 200 yards, a 30-06 bullet is still carrying somewhere around 2,250 feet per second of velocity, depending on the load. And it equates to somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 foot-pounds of energy that it still has at 200 yards when it strikes a target. Now, most hunters that I grew up around every fall go out and zero their rifles. And what that means is you go out to the range and you set up a target at 100 yards and you align your optic with the point of impact so that they're the same. You shoot and shoot and shoot until you get that the same, and that's your zero. That's your 100-yard zero. And rifles are graded on their accuracy in what is called minute of angle. You'll hear a lot of YouTubers talk about minute of angle or MOA, and they're always talking about, oh, I've got a sub-MOA AR-15. And if you're not in the know, you don't really know what's going on, I'll explain it to you. Minute of angle is simply the area that you can expect a bullet to hit in at a certain distance. And at 100 yards, 1 minute of angle is a 1-inch diameter circle. This roll of tape is roughly 1-inch diameter on the inside of it. If you were to aim your crosshairs dead center in this circle and pull the trigger, and you have not jerked the trigger, you have got your breathing down and you're holding the rifle steady, your bullet will fall somewhere in this circle. Most hunting rifles should be around at least 1.5 to 2.5 minutes of angle and accuracy to ethically kill an animal at ranges out to 400 yards. If you go out to 200 yards, a minute of angle becomes 2 inches. It just doubles itself, okay? So if we're using 1.5 to 2.5 minutes of angle, as an example, 1.5 minutes of angle would be 3 inches and 2.5 would be 5 inches. This is a 76 millimeter ND filter for one of my cameras. 76 millimeters is roughly 3 inches. At 200 yards, a 1.5 minute of angle gun is capable of striking a circle this tight if the shooter has some basic mechanics down. Things do come into play at distance, like windage, but according to the videos that I have seen that day, the windage is not an issue. The only variables he'd really have to account for are his elevation and his bullet drop. And bullet drop at 200 yards from a 100-yard zeroed rifle would be approximately 3.5 inches below the point of aim. So if he picked up a rifle that was zeroed for 100 yards and left the crosshair on my nose, he could expect his impact to be somewhere in here. Mormon or LDS families, before the Boy Scouts got woke, used to be the biggest singular group in scouting. It was one of their favorite things to put their kids through because they believed in the core values that the Boy Scouts used to have. And the Boy Scouts would teach riflery. So that young man could have theoretically been a Boy Scout and spent a lot of time with a .22 and learned the basics, or in this case, he was probably a hunter. He probably had harvested deer or elk at some point in his life. So a 200-yard shot with a high-powered rifle is nothing for someone like that, especially when they're laying prone on a rooftop on a sunny day with nothing affecting them and a wide open lane to their target. So to say that this guy had to be some trained special agent is complete and utter bullshit.
So I've established that we could have gotten the rifle to where it was said to have been, and that this particular individual could have easily made that shot. Now let's walk through the probably, I think, one of the bigger points of skepticism and speculation about his exfiltration and how the rifle ended up where it was. Let's look at the FBI's footage of the shooter exiting the roof. You see the individual running across the roof from his point of shoot. He's going to go behind this glass structure on top of the roof here. Now that corresponds with, it looks like his shot was probably from the forward part of the roof in this area here. He ran across, this is the square building structure. We see him run behind here, and he goes to make his jump down or egress from the top of the roof here. You see him running, he's going across the rocks. Now, the FBI punches this in, and this is just a standard security camera. I don't think, judging by the looks of the image, that it's recording in anything higher than a 1080p resolution. Once you punch in, you're losing clarity. Also, these security cameras aren't like your normal camera. It's probably running at a much lower frame rate. That's why the motion looks jerky and fast. They do that so that they can preserve the bandwidth and what they're storing it on so that they can have a longer section of medium. It just is a matter of economy of capturing images. So, you're punching in, and I think that this camera, judging by the angle, appears to be, if you use the points off of the buildings where it's square and you got the point right here, let's just follow the trail. Right? We'll make you a line right through it. It's probably on this corner of this building right here. And if we punch into the parking lot, there's your line. You follow it back. I think the camera footage that we're seeing is from this camera right here on the corner of this structure. Okay. That camera is taking an image from approximately 250 feet away, almost a full 100 yards away. And it's a very wide angle, not high resolution camera, or not super high resolution camera. This is, like I said, maybe 1080p. Let me show it to you again in a bigger view. So that's what we've got to go on with this evidence. And now we're punching in and cropping it and losing resolution and quality. We see the individual go to exit the roof. And this is where the contention comes up, because you can't clearly make out the outline of the rifle. And because the frame rate is not great, the rifle may be lost in motion blur or any other artifact or effect that having a camera at this resolution and this frame rate is going to indicate. But there is one telltale sign in here, and if I can get it to go, it's this this moment right here. I've seen other videos where they talk about the towel just being flappy and hangy based on some things that happen when he hits the ground. But this right here indicates a flat horizontal plane and the towel dangling. What I propose is that the rifle is sitting horizontal right now as he goes to set it down, and the towel is merely draped over the top of the rifle. He's still trying to obscure it. He sets it down. He proceeds down. He's hanging right here. See if I can back that up a little bit. And go frame by frame. All right, this is also where we're starting to see that this individual's clothing and everything can kind of match up to what we've seen. The jeans are a typical blue color. The shoes, you'll see some flashes of white, like those Converse Chuck Taylors on the toe, and he's wearing a black long sleeve shirt and a hat and glasses. There, right there, something long, narrow is poking straight up. I propose that is the rifle as well. He's got it in his hand here. Now the towel comes around because he's still got the towel around the rifle and it's draping. He looks to see where he's going. He releases and he falls. He strikes the ground here, rolls, the rifle hits the ground. He then picks it up in the towel, goes to move. He starts running away, and as he runs, well, we'll get back to the escape end of this because the FBI shows this 3 or 4 times. We hit the ground, and he starts moving. Picks up something. He drops something there. Could have been anything. Now, as he's running, he's struggling to try to get this rifle wrapped back up and concealed because he knows people are going to see it. He runs across this knoll, obscuring himself from view over here. And this is part of the other thing. I don't think he exfiltrated the same way he came in because he saw once that the shot was taken, the crowd was starting to disperse, and if he went across that causeway, he would be in the line of sight of everyone who was there turning around to look for a shooter. We're running. He's struggling to try to keep that firearm wrapped up. And now he's starting to see people. He's going to take that rifle, wrap it up, and bring it closer to his body. And that's why we're not seeing it in the camera view as much, because our resolution's so bad we can't see the detail. We can just see the outline. And now he's walking. Notice how his left leg is moving here. He's keeping a straight left leg because he's hiding that rifle pressed up against that leg. Now he goes to the intersection and stops and waits for traffic. Now everybody here doesn't know that there's been a shooting yet. Nobody's running away in panic or screaming. This is probably within 15 to 30 seconds of the shot being taken, 45 tops. Nobody in the immediate area knows. He's got a 200-yard head start on everyone who would have witnessed the shooting. He stops, he waits for traffic. That's the end of the footage that we get. According to that footage, when he made the crossing of the street, he was somewhere in this area. Now, what I propose is that he somehow crossed the street here and made his way along back towards where I believe the vehicle was stashed. I think he left his vehicle somewhere to the north of where we saw him first walking down this street. I believe that he either got into the woods here along the backside of this UVU Army ROTC in an attempt to mask himself in the woods so that he wasn't seen by passerbys. Now, you see the video later of him as a dot just running through this field here. Okay, I'll take you to the other footage and show you why I think this is how the gun ended up where the gun was supposed to have been found. He came along this wood line and he got onto this path right here and he ran through back into this field. This opening would have been the line of sight between that camera here and where we see him running through a field. I think he got up somewhere around in here. We haven't been told exactly where it was found, but I think what had happened was by the time he got to here, he was starting to see people who were aware of the shooting coming near him or in that vicinity. And he couldn't make the trip from cover to his vehicle without being observed with the rifle. So he stashed the rifle to get in his vehicle and drive away. Then he exfiltrated, drove the 250 miles down to St. George area, and we all know how the rest of this played out. But to me, this presents a plausible supporting explanation to what we're being told. And whether we're being withheld information because it is the FBI and law enforcement trying to protect the integrity of whether they're trying to protect the integrity of their investigation, or they're just so busy doing this that they don't have time to come back to the rest of filling in the pieces, and we may get something a little bit later down the road. I don't know. But I do believe that the person that we have seen in this video is the person that they allege to be the shooter, and this narrative can be corroborated with just a little bit of your own internet sleuth work. If you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear them. If you have any other ideas or any other supporting evidence you'd like to throw in this, or anything else you'd like a little bit more information on, go ahead and leave it in the comments. Thank you.